Howdy everyone, this is Trisha and welcome to my channel. So today I'm continuing my series of Can I Arrange That? That is where I take some unusual items or some everyday items and try to create a floral or greenery arrangement out of that. Now I may use it as is, maybe just a touch of some paint, or I may have to take it apart and reshape it or reform it in some way. So let me show you what I've chosen for this week's video. Alright, so for this week I have this file, I guess it's a holder or rack, maybe even a magazine rack. And most of us have one of these in our homes or in our offices, and some are made out of cardboard and some are made out of, wood. And I have this one made out of wire. It's pretty cute. I like the way that it looks, and for the purpose that I had it, it matched very well. Of course, we haven't been using it for some time. It's kind of been in the garage. So I did give it a little bit of a wipe down with a little bit of sudsy water and a sponge. And being that it is a sort of like a little basket, it's sort of making me think, maybe I can make an arrangement out of this because I don't have any files or folders or even some magazines. I don't keep any of that stuff anymore. So I'm thinking that a little arrangement made in there will look really pretty. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. If you have one of these, or if you have a solid one, if it doesn't have to be a basket like this, then maybe you are interested in this video and you want to see how I'm going to transform it. So let's get to crafting. The first thing I want to do, aside from cleaning it, is I want to paint this. Now I do like the color that it has, but I am going to be putting it on a new desk that I have in my bedroom, and the top of the desk is a dark brown color, and I really want this to stand out, and so I want to paint it white. Okay, and now my little rack has this little removable little tab cover here, where you can slide the little paper, your little title of what you keep in it. Now it's up to you if you can remove it or not and paint it separately. I'm just showing you, I was playing around with mine, so and I realized that it comes off, so I was just showing you that. Now I've seen them where they also have it on this other end, because it all depends on how you display it. So that I like it on this other end a little bit more than I do like it where it's at. I already tried fiddling with this. I don't see how I can actually remove this part right here, although I could remove the little cardboard. Now I could just go ahead and just put a little cardboard on there, like have that. And of course, if you mess up your little cardboard or you don't have one on your file, or I don't know what to call this, on your little rack, if you don't have that, you could just replace it, cut out some poster board paper, cardstock, or some paper that will fit in there, that will be bigger than the opening, of course. And I'm thinking that I want to put this on this end because this is going to become the back of my arrangement, and I do want this to show. So I'm just going to move it over to this end. Of course, you don't have to do that. You don't even have to have this. So don't worry about it. All right, let's get that out of the way. I'm just going to be using some regular craft paint, and I have a sponge that I'm going to apply this with. So I just need to cover my surface and pour out some paint and wet my sponge, and I'll be back. I'm just reusing an old puppy pad that I purchased from the Dollar Tree. I buy the 4-pack from the Dollar Tree, and I use these for painting, and whenever I'm done I let it dry, and I reuse these. So never mind all the blue paint that you see on there. It's just because I'm just reusing this until I can no longer reuse it. Okay, so all I'm going to do is just take my sponge paint, and let me take this little paper off of here, put it off to the side, and I'm just going to sponge it. Now, of course, I think I mentioned that if you do have the label, you can't take it off. You can just paint right over it or cover it with some tape. There we go. And I'm just going to sponge paint it like so, because I feel like if I do use the brush to brush the paint on, I might end up splattering a lot of it. And not only that, but I'll get these like heavy bits of paint that just kind of get squeezed out by the wire off of the brush. And I don't want that. I don't want those dripping. So I think the sponge would work a little bit better. And I can always give it a couple of coats or 3, whatever is needed. And also, I don't really have to worry about the inside too much, but I am going to paint the inside of this back part because I feel like that's going to show, and just the taller section of the sides. I don't have to go too far down because all this is going to get covered, and I'll show you that in a bit how I'm going to do that. But for now, I'm just going to sponge paint it, and I'll be back when all of it is done. Of course, I'm not going to worry about the bottom, this part here, or the inside of the bottom. Okay? Of course, if you're working with something that is solid, not a basket like what I have, if it's either cardboard, metal, or even wood, you could either spray paint it, you'll take it outside and spray paint it, or just use your brush to paint it. Now, other than painting it, you could decide to decoupage some paper on there, maybe some pretty little print fabric on it, and make it look extra special. So that is your choice. This is just what I'm doing because I happen to have a basket, so a sponge is working best for that. All right, so now that I have painted it the color that I want, of course, like I said, you don't have to paint it. You can go with fabric or some paper. I'm going to go ahead and give it just a little bit of accents with a little bit of black. So I wanted to have that kind of like that white tin that's been, you know, worn out and scratched and has a little bit of black on it, little specks. So that's what I'm going to do to it, just here and there, not too many. And I'm just going to use my brush just to kind of get them on there. If I don't like the work, what I'll do is I can go over it with my original paint and just cover it. Just let the black dry first, of course, and then do that. If I feel like I did too much, because I feel like I could get carried away, and I will do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and just continue doing that. I'm also going to paint this little bit here. I'm going to paint it black. I feel like some of this paint, because it is just plain acrylic paint, that it could get scratched off. So if you want to go ahead and use a sealant, if you're doing the way that I'm doing it, and if you're painting metal especially, use a sealant to go over it so that you seal the paint so you don't scratch it off, or even just a Mod Podge, something like that, a clear sealant. All right, so the next step would be to add some styrofoam inside my rack here, my little container for my arrangement. But before I do that, I need to put this back on there because, you know, these little bits here do fold in from inside, and once I have the foam in there, it will be hard to do so. So I'm going to go ahead and add this back on here, but I do want to put the little label on there. Now, I'm not using this back side. I want this to be my front, so I want to add it here. So I don't have that little metal bit to put this on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hot glue it to the inside of here. But I do have some stickers, and I was trying to see if I had one that fit into the frame of this, because once I put it back behind here, it's going to lose some of that space. And I don't really have one that's, you know, that I want to use on here. I do see this family ties one. Maybe that'll be good enough, I think. Let me get this little thing here. I do have these other stickers. These I got from the Dollar Tree, by the way. Aren't they cute? And these were from Hobby Lobby, but I've used quite a bit of them in previous projects. All right, so let me just go ahead and take this one because I feel like it's small enough. It doesn't really have anything to do with a floral arrangement, but it's really cute. It says family ties, if I can remove it. There we go. I'll try to center it. All right, there we go. Okay, so now this is the bottom, my little hole tag holder here. So I'll just add a little bit of glue in there, put it on there. I just plugged my glue gun, so it's not quite hot enough yet. But, oh well, I got enough of it. Okay, let's get that on there. Yep, that looks good. All right, let me go ahead and I'm going to seal it in there because it's not gluing down too well. I think it's because it has this little sticky back and my fingers just get stuck to it, and then I end up pulling it upward. So I'm just going to add enough of this to build like a little frame around it with the glue. All right, let me let that dry, and then I'll put it on here. And of course, how I put it on is not important because maybe you're not going to be able to take it off to put it back on, and you won't have the same exact kind of rack as I do. So I will just put it back on off camera. All right, we got it on there. I scratched it up a little bit, but I kind of like that. All right, so I want to add the styrofoam in there, and I could just actually just put it in there, put some wire through the bottom, bring it up here to the top, and then wire this styrofoam down. But then you're going to see it through. So I could cover it with some moss, and I have some green moss here. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to put some burlap in there because I think it'll add a nice little texture. So I've got some burlap here, and I just want to cut a piece that'll fit in here, but that'll kind of come up the sides also, and just enough to hide the styrofoam. So let's see. I need it to come up the sides. That'll be good. Yep, and yep. So I still have to cut about right here. So this is just basically eyeballing the fabric. And of course, if you have a solid rack, you can skip this part as well. All right, this is the same idea you can use for a basket. So now I'm just going to push that in, like so. And then I can just trim off any of the burlap if I feel like I want to. I don't know, maybe I like it. Maybe I like the little edges coming out like that. Okay, so let's remove the plastic off of this. And then we're gonna fit it all in with the styrofoam in there as well. Okay, let's do this. Let's wrap it up like this. And then slide it in. There we go. That helps to hold the styrofoam all the way to the little edges over here. Yep, that works. Okay. These little frayed edges, we won't worry about them. Okay, so now, in order for this not to suddenly pop out on us, I'm going to take some floral wire and just cut some nice long pieces. I'll cut a couple of them. I want to make sure that they go around the styrofoam, the whole circumference. So I want to get a nice long piece. And because this is burlap, it's so easy to just poke right through. I'm not poking through the styrofoam, I'm poking around and bringing the wire around the styrofoam. So I'm just poking it through the burlap. Now some of it might go through the styrofoam and that's okay. Now I just gotta grab the other end of the wire and I've got them here. I don't know if you can see them. I'm bringing them around. I'm gonna pull this out, you know, actually. So now you saw what I did is I just put the wire through here. It's going here and it's going through here, but it's going through the burlap because I don't want it to go around on the outside of the burlap. I want it to go inside. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull it out so I can give you an idea of what is happening inside, okay? So what's happening is this is coming through the burlap underneath. Let's just put it like that, for example. And then right here. Now remember, these came up the sides like that, and then I can just tie it like that. And what this is, what's happening is that I'm tying the fabric and the styrofoam to the bottom of my rack, my little basket, or you know, if you're putting it into a basket, for example. Just to get everything in there, and the wire's not on the outside here, so you won't see it. On the bottom, it won't matter, but you can see it on the bottom right there. But on the sides, as you can see, you can't see them. Okay, so that's what's going on inside of here, all right? So let me go ahead and put this back in my basket. I'm gonna cut another piece because I want it to come off on this other side so I can get both sides anchored to the bottom of my rack. All right, so now that everything is secured and the styrofoam is in place in my container, as you can see, look, it's nicely covered, the styrofoam that it's in there, or the floral foam, whatever you use. Let's see a little bit here. Let me get that out of there. Anyway, so there we go. Now, again, like I said, if yours is solid, just pour some glue in there and put it in there, let it dry. And once your styrofoam is set, you can cover it with some moss if you like. I don't feel like I really need to because I feel like the burlap that I put in there covers that styrofoam really well. But let's go ahead and say if I needed to do that. Now, just want to clarify that I didn't put the greenery around the edges, which I could, and that would have hidden all this away. It's because this particular moss that I have, I got it from the Dollar Tree, but a lot of it is like this. It's not just because it's from the Dollar Tree, but just so you know, I did get mine from the Dollar Tree because, you know, it's less expensive and it's just a small amount that I need. This type of moss tends to break up. It's not a sheet moss, it's just a moss. So it's very, you know, in little pieces like that, and it's kind of hard to get it onto my styrofoam and, you know, just like one big piece, because it'll be a bunch of little pieces and then it'll be falling everywhere. It'll be coming out of the bottom, off the sides, and I don't want that. I could put, you know, some fabric on the bottom and at least cover that, but it's still going to fall out the side, so I don't want that. So this type of moss really just basically just goes really well on the top of things, because it's not very, you know, like in sheets, big pieces. It's very broken apart. But if you do have the sheet moss and you want to hold it down, you can use a S pin. Now I've always known these as an S pin because it has that little S shape, but I do know some people call it a U pin because it's shaped like a U, but it's pretty much more known as like a greenery pin. Okay, greenery, floral pin, whatever you want to call it, but it's mainly called a greenery pin, so that's what that is. And these are great for holding down your moss rather than gluing it down, because if you glue it down, you create little puddles on top of your styrofoam. So if you glue down your moss, here, all these little spaces, then you've got so much hot glue underneath there, all these puddles. So when you come to stick in a stem, you know, a flower stem in there, you're going to be crashing against the hot glue, and then there you're going to be like, oh, where is there a space? And oh, it's way over here. So you're going to have flowers sticking out way over here rather than in the spot that you want it to. So that's why we use these pins rather than glue. Now, because this is so broken apart as it is, I'm just going to sprinkle some on top, and I'm not even going to use my greenery pins. Why waste them? They're not going to hold down anything. And that's just maybe just this particular package. Well, I've had a couple that have been like that. They're very separate, and I don't know if that's just the way that Dollar Tree's moss is, and I probably need to buy you know, a better quality. I don't know. It's very good. I wouldn't like not use it, because you could sprinkle it on something. The only thing is you run the risk that if it tops over or something, as you saw, that little bits can come out and just make a mess. I want to cough, so I'm going to take a little break. And now 3 hours later. All right, so it's not 3 hours later, but it's quite a few minutes later. I had to go and recuperate. I'm having a very bad reaction to the moss. I don't know, maybe it's older or something, but I've gone ahead and I've left it in there. I cleaned up everything else and it was horrible. I don't know what happened, but forgive me, I'm going to sound a little different. I've noticed that, and I'll try to get through this. We want to get this video done. We want to make a nice little arrangement to go into our little rack here. Now, you may have a solid one, like I said, so you're not going to be able to see through it. So you're really going to concentrate on the flowers that you're putting here on the inside. And of course, I'm going to have this be the front. This could certainly be a centerpiece, so maybe you want your flowers to come way up here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I've got a really pretty bush here that I got from a store called At Home. And then I'm not sure where these were from. These may have been from the Dollar Tree. I think it is. I think this is their tag. I think most of y'all will recognize. These are the, this was a fall flower, and these others are from the summer. And then these are these lamb's ear that I got from Hobby Lobby. Now, of course, I got this at half off. I think it was like $20, and I got it for $10. Pretty good deal. Now, I've already cut up some of the stems off of here, so this was a little bit fuller. And this one here was a really good deal at $3.99. So you want to look for prices like that for your flowers. Now, it doesn't matter if they are from the Dollar Tree. Just try to find some that don't look too plasticky. Maybe the colors are a little bit more natural, or, you know, more realistic. And you could certainly use those flowers. It's just in the way that you arrange them, okay? So let's look for one long stem, and I'm going to use this one here. Cut it right at the bottom, so I get it as long as I can. I don't want these dark green leaves here. I want to use this softer green, and I do have another little bits over there. I don't know if I'm going to use them there. I'll show them to you, of course, if I do decide to use them. So we're gonna pick our first flower, and we're gonna pick the height. And now I'm going to put this on my desk, and it's going to be, there's a wall or window. Actually, there's a window back here with curtains. So I don't need to see this back part. So it doesn't matter that if my flowers are in here. But if you want this to be a centerpiece, and of course you want it to be a tall flower that's going to come out that you can bend it this way rather than having it straight like that. You want to bend the top part of the stem so that it goes this way. And then of course you're going to want some other tall ones to come out the sides here. But for mine, I just want it to be inside because I'm going to display it like this. So I think this length is fine. If I hold it up against here, it's just right about the same height here. But I'm going to give it a little bit of a bend right there. See that? Just a little bit of a bend on the stem here at the top. Let's move this down so you can see it right there. Okay, that's going to go at the very back, and I'm going to add some glue actually to the tip of the stem. If it's too tall, of course I would trim it, but I kind of like the height of this, so we're going to put that right in there. And the reason that I bent it is so that you can see it here in the front, because I don't want it just like, you know, sticking straight up like that. I want to bend the flower and be able to see it as I'm looking at my arrangement from the front. Okay, so now that I've got that flower in, I want to put one more because I want to choose my lowest height, or excuse me, my lowest level or height. So I want this flower down here, but I do kind of want it to pop out a little bit. So I'm going to bend it like that and then up like that because that's how I want it to come out. All right, now this is a little bit long. I don't want to have to stick this stem all the way down into the bottom of the styrofoam, so I'm just going to trim it just enough length to, now remember our styrofoam is way down here, so we want to give it enough. Okay, actually I put too far in. Let's go further to the edge there. There we go. And there we go. It's sticking out, but then I'm folding it forward or upward because I want to see the flower. See, like that. I don't want the flower like looking down. I want it looking up or forward, doesn't matter, but this is how I want it because it has this little piece kind of dangling down that gives it a visual right here. So here's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be forming a, let me lift this also on this flower, this little bit here where this little flowers will be up at the top here. Okay, so I'm forming like a slide here. I'm going according to the shape of my container. And I want to add, let's say, another flower. We're going to remove the greenery. And this one I want it to come out this way, but of course I'm going to bend it to face that way. Okay, and then I'm going to do another one over here to do the same thing. But I'm going to put them at kind of different levels, not at the exact same level. Okay, so this one right here, look how pretty that rests on there. Okay. And then I'm going to do another one like about right here, but kind of on this edge rather than on that edge. Okay, we don't need all of that. Cut it shorter. Bend it a little bit. Some glue. And slide it right in. All right, so that is our focal flower, and I've only used 4. I like to use flowers in odd numbers, so 3, 5, 7, but I think this is fine. I'm not going to add any more. So now I actually want to work with this one, this little filler flower, and I want to cut one at the longest point. So I'm trying to see which one's probably this middle one is probably the tallest one. So I'm going to cut it way down at the bottom. I don't mind this color greenery, actually I like it, so I'm going to leave that in there. It looks a little more natural. This was a little too green. I don't know what it is about it. It looks too plasticky. So I'm going to leave this one though, because it does have some dimensions, with a different colors, so it gives it a dimension. It's got a, like a green, and then it's got some little browns in there. Okay, so the tallest one, right up against my focal flower, this is a filler flower. Okay, and now I want to add some to accompany the other flowers, and of course they can be lower so they don't have to be cut at their longest point. You could cut all of them at their longest point and then just trim them where you're going to need them. Okay, this last one. Now you don't need to have the exact same number of filler flowers as you do focal flowers. You could actually have more than the larger flower, the focal flower, or your main flower, whatever you want to call it. See, that just fills in the space. So now all we want to do is add some greenery to fill in, and we want to fill in to cover all those stems that you can see popping up on the side. So I'm going to be reaching in and inserting some of this greenery. So I'm cutting it also again at the longest point. Now this greenery has leaves down, you know, all the length here. They're going up the whole stem here. Now these don't slide up or down. They're just staying in the spot that they are. So this one is actually perfect. I'm going to put this one behind this flower to fill in all that space and basically cover the stem of that flower there, or hide it. Let me fix that burlap. Now, if you don't have a see-through baskety type of item like this, then you don't have to worry about, you know, those leaves being at the bottom. I would pick a greenery where you can slide the leaves up and down. That way you can slide your leaves upward and you don't waste them getting hidden inside there. One more in front of it, of that tall flower, so it, again, it hides some stems. I'm really liking the way it looks. All right, let's get that in there. I'm pushing it down just a little bit more and making sure that these flowers don't get overwhelmed by the greenery. Look at that, it's just filling it in. And if you look through it, you don't see the flowers. Again, I'm going to be looking at it from the front. I'll probably have some items here, which will, again, they'll probably help to cover the sides. Now, if you have solid sides and you chose a pretty patterned fabric to decoupage, or a paper, of course, you know, that'll show off on the sides rather than the stems. Or even maybe you just chose to paint it solid color. Okay, so this one here, I'm actually going to cut it into 2 pieces like that. So I can just use this to fill in somewhere there between these 2 flowers, and, you know, kind of behind this one to hide anything that shows there. And then I'll use this last one and I'll remove one of the leaves so that I have enough stem to insert. There we go. Some glue, and then just kind of to the side of this flower there. I just have the extra luxury of having to deal with the burlap and having to move it out of the way, so I don't glue it and push it downward. So, and I'm being sarcastic when I say luxury, because, you know, it's a little bit of a, ooh, gotta be moving that. Now I ended up pushing these other flowers too far forward, so I'm just putting them back, and then I'm going to also kind of twirl this around a little bit so these leaves aren't hiding any flowers. But look at that. That's it, you guys. That's all we had to do to make an arrangement from this little rack. All right, everyone. I've noticed that my lighting has also changed a little bit. It is already later in the day. I had to deal with a, I don't know if it was an allergy or what it was. I was choking on that moss. So just be careful with those mosses. I think also because, you know, we got spring coming and there's allergies out in the air, things like that. So just be careful with those. You might want to check them, shake the bag a little bit, and if you see that it's just too dusty in there, too many little dust, you might not want to buy that greenery. Get another one that doesn't, you know, fall apart so much in the bag. And I think maybe, you know, that'll also tell you that it's a little bit fresher, maybe not as old. Of course, it all depends on you. So I just want to throw that in. Anyway, my arrangement is done. So the question was, can I arrange that? So yes, I can arrange that. It's very simple. It's not even like, oh my God, what an overwhelmingly large arrangement. It's something very small and slim and can fit right next to, if I have a lamp on my table, it can fit right next to it. Or if I have some books maybe coming out of the sides or some other things stacked up on the sides, it'll be fine because it's not taking up so much space. It's nice and thin. And I've reused this little rack. I don't have to stuff it back into my garage where it's gonna get dusty and we'll forget about it. I have found a purpose for it. So I've repurposed it, is what I've done. So you can see here, you can take you know, an item like that and actually use it for an arrangement. Whether you want to just use greenery, maybe something spilling out of it a little bit longer than what I have done, do so. I think it looks lovely. I think it's really cute the way it came out. There's the little thing in the front there, the little label, rather than being in the back here. But there we go. So I'm going to give myself a big old thumbs up, and I hope that you too will give me a big old thumbs up. Now, if you enjoyed the content of my video, this is your first time watching, or maybe you watched a couple of times, and if you're enjoying it, you haven't subscribed, please hit that red subscribe button down below. Now, there is a little icon right here that you can also hit to subscribe. Now, once you've done that, you'll see below the video, there'll be a little bell, and you'll want to click on that and choose all so that you can notify to all of my videos as soon as I upload them. Now, this video is a little bit late. I have not been feeling very well, so please forgive me. Excuse me. I can make all kinds of excuses, but I just could not move at all, you guys. And now I've got a ringing in my ear, which is telling me I've been talking too much. So that's it, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed that. Can I arrange this one more time? Yes, I can arrange that. All right, everyone. You all have a super week. The rest of your week. Have a super weekend. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, enjoy.